What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Nanocast. Nanocast, the podcast all about the cryptocurrency Nano. Nano's fast, scalable, and led by a driven team. It's inspired thousands to participate in the development of its apps and services. And on this podcast, you'll get to meet some of those people and learn what they're up to. Got a special treat for you today. We're hanging out with Zack Shapiro. He's a former iOS developer on the core team, and now something about director of engineering at a new company called Bump. Really excited to have him on. We're not going to go through a list of questions. We're just going to talk. So, Zack, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Excited to do the show.
Me too. So, no list of questions. I don't even know what to start with. How about, Zack, why don't you tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you got into this computer stuff?
Yeah, so I am Zack Shapiro. I was on the Nano team from late November 2017 until about a month ago, I guess the end of July, so about 2 weeks ago. And my role on the team was working on wallets. I built the iOS wallet and helped the Android and desktop wallet come into fruition, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff as you do on any small team, helping out Troy with stuff, helping out everybody. Pretty involved in the community, spent some time in the Discord, a lot of time on Reddit, a bunch of time on Twitter, and yeah, had a lot of fun in my time at Nano, and now directing engineering at Bump, which is a streetwear marketplace on iPhone, coming soon to Android and then web. And we just got out of YC, which is a big startup accelerator in the Valley, and raised some money, and now we're putting together a team. So excited to be running engineering here, and yeah.
Sweet. Bump's a streetwear store, and you said it's available on the iPhone, and I thought, but that's not on the street. Is there any physical stores, or is it just digital?
No, it's a community marketplace. So it's people who are like buying and selling Supreme or Bape or Palace, Nike shoes, what have you. So huge resale market, and we help facilitate that.
Sweet. So how did you originally get involved with the Nano team back in November?
I got involved through, I was in like one of those like paid call groups, and the kid who was running it posted about Rayblocks. I read up on it, studied it a bunch, ended up getting in the Discord, built a small like price tracking app, and then was working at Square at the time. Asked Colin and Micah if they needed an iPhone wallet, and they said yeah. And I negotiated with them, finished up my contract at Square, and literally left Square, went to the airport, flew down to Austin, met up with the team, and got started. So basically just like hit the ground running from like end of November through last month. And we did a lot of stuff in that time.
Yeah. So the iOS app was, maybe not perfect, but it was already working and running on whatever you were testing on back in January, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first beta came out like late January, early February, I think like mid to late January. And there was a bunch of work to do on it. For how simple it looks, it's surprisingly complicated under the hood, just because you've got a live network and you need to make sure that your balance is up to date, your frontier hash is up to date. There's a bunch of like QR code scanning and other stuff. So, super proud of that app. It's one of the most complex things I've built. I think it's still got like hundreds of 5-star reviews on the App Store, which I'm really proud of. And, there was someone on the Reddit the other day who was like, is this thing safe to use? And I was tempted to chime in and be like, I built it, yeah, but ultimately, like, everybody should decide for themselves. It's not for me to decide for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of any major issues with the iOS app, so good job.
Great. Thanks.
So you hit the ground running, and besides developing an app, what was kind of your main responsibilities when you were, or what your day-to-day look like?
I mean, every day was different. There was a lot of like community interaction. There was a lot of, when we have to put out fires, just sort of like I would help organize some of that. Being a distributed team, the thing I really learned was like, you got to get to audio as fast as possible, because if you're just doing it in Slack, there's really not a sense of urgency as if you're in the same room and you're able to, bounce ideas off of each other. And even if you're mostly quiet in that room, I find that problem solving is a lot more fluid there than it is in Slack. So yeah, just a lot of like, working through whatever sort of the day held, a lot of iOS development, and then sort of process stuff for either getting out new versions or helping, copy edit a post. We would all, we would dump a Reddit post that we were working on into a channel and edit it there. And yeah, every day was a totally different animal.
What were some of your favorite things about working on the team?
I mean, the first thing is the people. Like, it was just a great crew of people. It was super fun. We had a lot of jokes. The community was awesome. The meetup we did in Austin, we did one in New York. It was fun to just like meet people who I've either interacted with on different platforms or not, and just like, I think when you exist solely in Reddit and it's just people like at both extremes of like the opinion spectrum, it's easy to get frustrated. But when you meet people who are genuinely enthusiastic about what you're working on, and like when we were in Austin, we were just doing, I was working with Norm Paperman, and we were just doing wallet demos for people. And people were just like, a lot of them hadn't seen it. The beta had just come out, and it was cool to see people's reaction to that. So I think that was one of the most fun parts. And then, yeah, just finally releasing that wallet. It was months in the pipeline. And despite all the Redditors who called for me to be fired because it was taking too long, I think the fact that it hasn't had any problems and the good reviews in the App Store, I think it all speaks for itself.
Many of you don't know, but the day of the wallet release, me, Troy, and Zach got on this call, or a call like this, to record This Week in Nano. And the wallet had just dropped, but the glitches for Android hadn't come out yet. And we were just talking about how great it was that it was finally out, and Zach took this huge, sigh of relief. And then we got off the call, and I don't know what happened.
Everything went to hell. Yeah, so I mean, that like weekend was pretty hard. So what happened was we used a deterministic version of a random number generator instead of Android's secure random. And that meant that you could calculate all the seeds that were generated by the Android wallet in a non-trivial amount of time. So we basically just like went into like high alert. We shipped 3 versions, I think, in 4 days. One that allowed you to migrate your seed from random to secure random. One, I'm trying to think what else happened in that space. I don't know. We fixed it, and we shipped it like Thursday, and we had it fixed by Monday, or we had it fixed by Saturday, and then by Monday we had a couple of patches out on top of that. So I think it learned a lot from it. The main thing that I learned from that was we should have open sourced much earlier, and the reason that we didn't was I was scared of someone basically scooping the app, like copying it, submitting it to Apple, and getting it through beforehand, because you never know who's out there and who's going to try to do that. So there were there were probably some steps that we could have taken to like open source parts of it, but not the whole thing. And desktop had some minor issues, but Devin jumped on those and fixed those real quick. So yeah, we basically got off that podcast and then checked our phones or email or whatever, and it was just like problem. So yeah, not the way I wanted to celebrate the launches that day, but the Android app is seemingly fine. Last I heard, Lee did a great job and Brian did a great job of hopping on and getting those fixes out. And I would just really love for people to get involved and start submitting some more PRs, so that I think there's basically an iOS and an Android spot that you could probably like walk into on the team, like not to speak for them, but like I'm sure they're looking for someone to maintain those. And you just need to like do some work and show sort of consistent effort in a direction. And, I think maybe Troy and Colin will take notice and potentially give you a job. So, yeah.
Sweet. Nice little tip for anybody who likes developing apps and is good at it and likes crypto too. And if you like Nano, even better. Do some work that you aren't asked to do. Put in some pull requests, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like me, for example, I do this podcast, and someone just sent me 1,000 Nano. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. But if you want to do that,
awesome.
Yeah, cool. So that was quite an emotional roller coaster. I guess it wasn't really a roller coaster as far as the amount of work you were doing, because you put a lot of work in, and then you took, an hour break, and then you started at it again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. All right. So earlier I asked you what your favorite things about working on the team were. What were some of your least favorite things?
I think we touched on this the time that we made that podcast and didn't release it. But I think like the thing that people don't realize is that we're all just people, right? We got feelings. We take pride in our work, and we when people just start attacking you for the work that you're doing, or they think you're doing, or think you're not doing, it sucks. And it's definitely hard to have this job with a like peanut gallery. And I think you either have to like ignore it or thicken up your skin. And I definitely thickened it up some, but maybe not as thick as it needed to be. So yeah, just kind of learned a lot about myself through that. And obviously, like, the price falling from its January highs, one of my least favorite things, because I still have some Nano. And yeah.
So probably the least favorite part, or the hardest part, is dealing with the criticism that is so rampant in the crypto community.
Yeah, like I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these teams, I think probably most teams, are building their workforce at the same time as they're building the product. So there's a ton of people in the space who have never worked in cryptography, distributed systems, networking, and they're learning as they go. They're learning from people who have, and I think that's true of any project. And that's why you have to ship this code slowly and methodically. You have to test it significantly. And the cost of a bug, the cost of a security issue, or having to make a significant change when you need a majority of nodes that are bought in, or you have to upgrade nodes or whatever, it's not a trivial thing. So yeah, I think that, most people don't know that because they're not on the inside. They buy some, they hold it, and they're, engaged in the community, talking to people, trying to speculate about where it's going to go. And a friend of mine named Eric said to me that crypto companies are basically software startups on hardware timelines. So a lot of the stuff you're investing in and speculating about won't be ready for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And if you can wait that long, if you can just have faith in whatever vision they're putting out, I think that's part of the game. And the people that are expecting people to sort of move fast and break things are maybe expecting the wrong things in crypto space.
Yeah. I think there's also a big part of this too is the crypto communication is by and large, across the whole thing, by and large on Reddit. And Reddit just tends to be a toxic space in general. Yeah,
I think that every community could do a better job of really kind of regulating the conversation that's on there. The posts where people are like, I'm in or I'm out, aren't really, I don't think they're really valuable. I think those spaces are best for actual announcements and discussions about the real thing, and not someone's portfolio actions or I don't know. It's like, it should be like traction related things, shipping and development related things, maybe some like media stuff, and then a different place for all the other crap.
So like a post titled personal news. How about that? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, ban that guy.
Yeah. I just sold all my Nano. Here's why.
Right.
Number one.
Yeah.
The crypto team is slow.
Right. Yeah. Like first of all, you should have to disclose how much you sold. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like if you sold like $80 worth of Nano, I do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a whale that cashed out, you probably shouldn't talk about it anyway. But yeah, just like I don't think that helps anyone. I think the people pile on that who feel the same way, the people fight it who feel the opposite, and ultimately like it doesn't matter. But the things that do matter are like, this is my shop and we now accept Nano. Like that's important. Because it just shows traction, and for a currencies don't really have partnerships. It's not really a thing. So the biggest thing is just more people accepting Nano and just having it grow the ecosystem, more nodes, more businesses, more people involved, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before the podcast, we were talking about how, what if, and I haven't done this, but what if everybody in the community went and found 2 businesses in their area that accept Nano?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of impact would that have?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a huge business development opportunity that the community can take part in. Like everyone knows someone who probably runs a small business or an internet startup or something, and you can hustle and get some people who are running a node or accepting Nano without anyone's permission. You can help them get set up. You can ping somebody in the community if you need help with that, and it would be awesome if everyone did that. We were talking too about like, what if there was like a secret Reddit or a secret Discord or something for people who actually did that and signed up for 2 or more businesses or whatever. There's a story of this guy Tristan Walker who now runs a company called Walker and Company. Their first brand is Bevel, which is like a shaving system for African American men, and he was the head of BD at Foursquare for years, and he just went to businesses and got them to have a business profile or something with Foursquare, and emailed the founders of Foursquare relentlessly. And he was like, this is what I've done. I'd love to meet up with you guys, like just showing traction without anyone asking him to do that. And he got a job on the team. And I think that sort of model for helping out a thing you care about, running a node is great. But if you've got a cousin who's got a store, even if it's sort of gimmicky, like have them take Nano. There will be someone who comes in who's like, wow, you accept crypto. That's awesome.
Right.
So I think every little thing helps. And especially when Nano is a working thing, it's, been working for a long time, and it's not in development to be completed 2 years down the road. It's real and it's live, and your business can take it right now. So what do you got to lose? Right.
Yeah. Another little like career tip there. Go out and build Nano. People accept Nano in your community, and tell the team about it. See what happens.
Yeah, we should get stickers that's like Nano accepted here, and you can put it on your door.
Yeah.
Somebody tell Troy.
Yeah, you can get some from Nano things. So
cool.
Yeah, maybe it would be cool if like people could somehow get free stickers for their friends to put on their windows or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the Nano Center creates a small fund that free stickers. You are like, if you can prove that you got a business to accept Nano, they'll send like 2 or 3 stickers to that business to put on the door or the window or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. All right, so another question for you. What would you say was the coolest experience you had on the Nano team?
I mean, the riding the thing out of obscurity into like, I think we were like the 14th highest on CoinMarketCap one day, was a pretty wild thing. People recognizing that it wasn't an ICO, that it was not a pre-mine, that it was distributed through a faucet, that it was a working thing and had real interesting properties to it relative to another ERC20 token or just something that's decentralized for the sake of it, I think was a really cool, like watching the Twitter groundswell, people saying like this thing's going to be a monster when people discover it, and then one day it became a monster. And I don't know if this is true, but it was definitely one of the top performing coins of 2017. 2018 is a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was really cool. Just sort of like, also people who were, pinging saying like, sort of, I discovered this because I tweeted about it, or like Troy got involved because I tweeted at this sports guy, and he saw that and randomly just like now he's on the team and like we're good friends, and it's awesome that like
Okay.
the power of Twitter minus all the Jack Dorsey bullshit.
Riding the wave, like going from not just the fact that the team wasn't known at all, but the fact that the coin didn't have like any monetary value really, all the way up to like $37. Is that what it was? Something like
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember buying in early, and then, obviously I wasn't on the team, so I didn't have any like vested like ownership or like pride in it, but it was still, I mean, from that experience, it was fun to ride that wave. I can only imagine what it's like when you built it or you helped build it.
Yeah, I mean, Colin is really the one who can sort of speak to that best, because he birthed that thing. But like internally, like we didn't, I think, except for like when it was like skyrocketing, we didn't really talk about price. Like it was something that we, my sort of philosophy that I would say to the team a lot was like, the price will take care of itself. Like, let's just do good work and sort of keep our heads on straight and not get sucked into the, the moon boy stuff of crypto. Right. We're here to work on a real thing and not just, sort of like pump and dump a coin as teams have sort of come and gone over the years. So in our Slack, like we didn't really talk about price much. Externally, we didn't talk about price, I think, except for very early on when we were hitting like milestone, like market caps and just like the craziness of that. And I think that was sort of what spurred the, like, let's not talk about price because it'll take care of itself if
right.
Sort of we're doing the right things and we're growing the network and we're growing the community and all that.
Totally. So speaking of just like building a great quality and a great quality product and the price will take care of itself, I've been thinking about version 15 of Nano, of the node, and I don't know, just following it a little bit, and as far as the development of it, it's going to like significantly increase the amount of transactions that can happen at one time on the network without being a burden on the nodes. Just a few weeks ago, we had that spam attack on the network, and it took a lot of nodes out. And like now, I don't know what the specs are on the new network, but it seems like that maybe is going to be prevented now. At least the level that attack was, and I think it's going to make some waves in the crypto community when they hear that Nano can do 40, 50 transactions a second with no problem.
Yep. Yeah, I missed the spam attack. I don't know where I was for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for version 15, and those guys are doing good work and churning it out fast. So, and I think fast with good process, which is what's important.
All right. So least favorite experience on the Nano team or during your time on the Nano team?
We did that already. That was the people trolling on Reddit.
Well, that was, but I mean like one experience.
Oh, one experience. Probably learning about BitGrail. I mean, definitely learning about BitGrail. Like we were in Austin and Ferrano messages us and just sort of like what happens next. I can't really go into too many details about that, but yeah, that was a real shitty day.
What was the first thing that went through your mind?
I don't remember.
that might be for the best, right?
Yeah, I think it was just asking a lot of questions, just trying to figure out like what exactly happened. Because like, we would, it's a totally different thing and different scale, but like people would ping us with their wallet issues and be like, I lost, 12 nano or whatever. And it was, we would work with those people to discern like sort of what happened. Like, was this a software issue? Was this like a personal issue? Like you messed something up, something along those lines. And, this was a totally different thing, but like the first step of anything is just sort of like understanding the landscape, like asking a bunch of questions, like where, what happened? What do you know? What do you not know?
Since all that went down, there's been a lot of hate from the community, or from people, maybe they're not in the community anymore, but people that knew about it, towards you guys because you supported BitGrail. You recommended BitGrail. I was fortunate enough not to have anything on BitGrail, but so I don't hold anything against anybody. But did you learn anything from that experience?
I'm trying to think what I can talk about here. I mean, the nature of crypto and the nature of open source is that any exchange can integrate any coin they want, right? Nano provides technical support. When there's a channel on Telegram, when Binance has a question, they can ask Russell, and Russell will get back to them in a fair amount of time. The allegations that like we built BitGrail or something are insane. Right? Like this was long before my time, but I believe that BitGrail came out of like an interested community member who was like, I'm going to make an exchange to sell this stuff. And I may be wrong about this. I think I saw a tweet from Colin, but I think Marketox was the first exchange, technically. So, yeah, it's just sort of like, it was a real bad day.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, you want to know something funny? So I just realized when you're talking that, I guess because I was rushing, I never plugged in my mic. And
uh-oh, you sounded fine.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fine. But that's funny. I never done that before either. You've got me all.
At least you pressed the record button.
Yeah, well, no, I have it set up so that it does that automatically so that I don't forget.
Cool. Because I've recorded podcasts without pressing record. It sucks.
Yeah. All right, so we've heard the good things, the bad things, and I'm sure before this is over, we'll hear some more good things about the overall experience, because I'm going to ask a question about it. But we're all interested to hear why you left the team. So not because it was a bad reason, but just to hear more about how that transition came about and what your feelings were like as you were going through it.
Sure. So a couple months ago, I was presented with this opportunity to lead engineering for Bump, and looking at the opportunity and looking at the space versus crypto, it was definitely not an easy decision. Right? Like the idea of like getting out of crypto at the time that we're in was not an easy bet to make. I'm still like, buying and investing. I'm still advising crypto startups that are interested in talking about iOS and user experience and building communities and whatever. Like I'm a generalist. I'm a 2-time founder. I've sold a company. Got a lot of I've been working at startups for 10 years. So a lot of interesting things that maybe I can help you out with if you're interested. Whatever. And yeah, so Bump had just an insane amount of traction and some really interesting product market fit, and the opportunity to sort of build and optimize this marketplace and build and run an engineering team was something that was incredibly attractive and hard to pass up. And so I took a gamble. I'm still hoping to be involved with Nano through the Nano Center and just be in the community. And yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that the community can do that the core team doesn't have time for, and looking forward to sort of get involved a little bit with that. And then as far as like transitioning off, like it was the hardest part for me is always the people. Just sort of like not working with my friends every day. It's hard and it sucks. So my last month was really making sure all the handoffs were done smoothly, giving HackerOne to Roy and Lee, because sort of the bug bounty program came out of some efforts that I led early on, just around when we introduced it around the CFB dude from IOTA, we wanted to work with him on whatever he was proposing, and ultimately he decided he wasn't interested. So the bug bounty program originally came out of that. And I was the guy that ended up running it. Just making sure that the apps were in the wallet apps were in a good place to hand off to someone new. Again, do some work on it. Maybe that becomes your job. And yeah, just sort of like I was ramping up with Bump at the same time I was ramping down with Nano. So it was sort of like doing double duty for a little bit. And yeah, it was strange to one day just like not be in the Slack, just be like another person on the street, with some Nano in my pocket. So
right. Yeah. The ever devaluing Nano. Sorry, we're not supposed to talk about price.
It's had a good 2 days. We can talk about price. I'm not on the team. We can talk about price. Let's see what's doing right now on coin market cap. Bring it up. $1.32. We're up 14.64% today. We're
1 cent since I looked last.
Almost 21K Satoshis. The price did not fall to 2K, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh
man, there would have been so many memes about that.
God, that chart that Troy made would actually be relevant.
Yeah. So like Nano going down. Here's the worst thing about crypto is like you go, all right, when it goes down to X, I'm gonna put way more in.
Yeah.
And then it goes down to X and you're like, oh shit, what if it keeps going down? I can't put money in.
Right.
And then the next day it bounces back up.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, like that's where you just have to like manage your emotional state. You're like, look, if I bought it at $2 and it's $1.50, and everything in the market is correlated, right? Bitcoin's going up, everything's going up. Bitcoin's going down, everything's going down, relatively. Then in theory, you should still buy. You got to like snap yourself out of it and be like, I still like Nano, right? It's not like I like Nano greater than or equal to 2. I like Nano regardless.
Right.
And I think that's just the process of becoming a better investor.
Mm-hmm. And not investing all you have to invest, so you can't invest anymore when it goes down.
Yeah, I mean, taking profits, this is not investment advice. Taking profits is important. And, if you have $10 and all of a sudden you have $15 to work, right? Put $5 in something new and diversify, and then you got 2 things that are working for you instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So a question about the crypto market as a whole. You think it's going to stick around?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of people whose hearts and efforts are in the right place. There's a lot of people who aren't. But I think that we're entering a new era of the internet, and it's really interesting to see all of these experiments sort of play out in real time. We've never been able to bet on projects from the get-go, right? Like no one could invest in Google or TaskRabbit or whatever from like commit 1 or like commit 100 or whatever. And yeah, I'm a big proponent of open source, and just sort of permissionless innovation. I think it's fascinating to see what all these people are doing simultaneously in different areas that they're interested in, whether it's like betting markets or distributed computing or currency or just something totally different and wild. Yeah, I think the next 5 to 10 years in crypto are going to be wild, and I'm excited to be some part of it.
Cool. And what is it about Nano that you think sticks out aside from others?
There's just nothing like it. Right? Like IOTA's a joke, and I think IOTA's probably the closest thing to it. And yeah, it's just it's got a set of properties that nothing else has. It's not an ICO. It's coming from the right place in terms of just like green and energy efficient. And I think that's interesting. It's a very interesting contrast to Bitcoin. So that's what originally drew me to it. That's what still has me invested. And, that's, the goal is to be a global currency. So I'm excited to help support that from the outside.
Sweet. Going back to being on the team, just to close out that conversation, do you think that being on a crypto team requires a special kind of personality?
Not necessarily. I think you just need to know what you're in for. You are building something in public. People have opinions, and they can have those opinions whether they have $2 worth or $20 million worth. And a lot of time, they're sitting around waiting for their money to go up, hopefully, and to blow off steam or to pass the time. They're going to make comments. So I think knowing that definitely is definitely part of it. And then, I think there's the field is wide open. It's surprising to me that most crypto companies and crypto projects don't have design as sort of like a first principle of the company. It seems to be a lot of very intelligent math, science, engineering, finance people, which is great because you need good monetary policy and obviously good cryptography and software design. But also the stuff you're putting out needs to be beautiful and intuitive, and the lack of usability in crypto is astounding 10 years after Bitcoin was created. So I think there's a huge opportunity to either learn design and get involved, or if you're a designer or a UX person, get involved and try to help out and try to just make things easier, because the best crypto applications in the future you won't know that crypto or decentralized networks are involved. You'll just do a task. And right now we're pretty far away from that. And there's a lot of people who are working hard on making things usable. I think my friend Rick, who's working on balance.io, which is a Ether wallet, an ERC20 token wallet, is the most laser focused person on UX I know in crypto.
What is that's balance.io?
Yeah.
So is that site live?
Yeah. He's been working on Balance for maybe 2 years now.
Okay, cool. So if you haven't heard of that, sounds like that might be a neat thing to check out. And then last big question, what would you say is the biggest lessons learned from your time on the Nano team?
That's a good question. I just sort of be ready for anything that the day throws at you. Like you make a to-do list and something happens and you throw that out the window and sort of saddle up and deal with what you got to deal with. It's a lot of like yes-anding. It's like, this is what I thought I was going to do today. Curveball. This is what I'm actually doing today. So that was a big lesson. And just like super fun to meet people from the community and shake some hands and do some demos and drink some beers with people who just want to say hi and tell you how much they appreciate what you're working on, and you tell them you appreciate them being part of the community, and it's a beautiful thing. Love it.
Cool. All right, so be flexible, be ready to change on a dime, and
don't use random. Always use secure random.
There you go. Biggest lesson learned: use secure random. All right, cool. I think we've touched on anything. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
Not really. I'm just like proud to have been a part of Nano. Proud to be a community member and again help out to the extent that I can. And it's been a fun journey, and I'm excited for sort of my next chapter with Bump. And
even though you didn't have the role of Troy as like a community manager, I think that people saw you as one of the main, prophets, mouthpieces of the Nano team. And I think everyone immensely appreciated all the time you spent in the community, putting out fires, answering questions, being there for whatever. And then the fact that at the same time you put out an iOS wallet that hasn't had any major problems. I think you did a great job.
Thanks, man.
So Yeah, no problem. We're sad to see you go. At least I am. But like you said, you're going to stick around in Nano Center, maybe pull some James Coxon magic and start putting out crazy stuff. What do you say?
I don't know if I'm going to put out James level stuff, because James he's always got something cooking. I don't know where that guy finds the time. Yeah, hoping to help out. I'll probably be throwing some ideas at the center and into the community, and yeah, just looking forward to that and seeing what life is like on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What are some words of advice for the nano community at large?
I would say just get involved. Don't wait for someone to tell you to do something. Just do it. If you think it's a good idea and your heart's in the right place, just go for it. I think the biggest thing is adoption, right? If you know someone who works at an exchange, or someone who runs a business or a startup or whatever, pitch them on Nano, give them a demo. The speed demo is always awesome. I think there's some faucets out there that you can use too. And really just help grow it. The more robust the network is, the more nodes, the more business providers, the more designers that are involved, the better. Yeah, I think just don't wait for anybody to tell you to do something. Just go do it. If you want to learn something, and just keep shipping, keep sharing, and I think that's sort of the best you can do in crypto as a community member. And who knows, maybe you get on the team if you're providing a ton of value. I can't speak for them, but it worked for me. It worked for Troy. You see it time and again, just people who are adding a ton of value get picked up by companies all over the place. So
sweet. So go out there, get some work done. I'll just add, it doesn't, obviously we want you to work in the nano ecosystem, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a nano. If there's another crypto project you love, go out and build something.
Yeah, I think a huge value add is helping people understand the huge technical complexities of crypto, right? Whether that's doing it through software and design and technology, or whether that's just Ryan Melting Ice, who made an Explorer, or Armand, who made an Explorer, or people who do weekly Reddit thread roundups, or just sort of do explain M5 kind of thing for what is version 15, what is pruning, what is a spam attack. Just helping define basic terms for the community is a huge thing, because you get these people who they hear a term, they sort of telephone it down to the next person. And being involved in crypto is an immense amount of reading and learning and constantly bettering yourself. So even if you're not a developer or sort of a typical design, developing, marketing, et cetera, I think as someone who can just help collate information, sort of make invisible things visible, make graphs, do a node report or a whatever, just making individual documents for the community on a regular basis, I think is a huge value add. So, right. And your project can be small and it can be super effective. So it doesn't have to be some big grandiose thing.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome little advice. If you know anything about the technology behind Nano, or can understand on any level that's better than your mom's, go ahead and make some graphic to help people understand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those were some great words of inspiration. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this podcast. Make sure you check out our sponsors. We got Pod and Nano Things. Pod by BrainBlocks. Two really great initiatives going on in the Nano community, helping to make Nano, or get Nano to be adopted massively. I can't think of a better way to phrase that. In order to bring mass adoption to Nano. There you go.
There you go.
And everybody give a big thanks to Zach on Twitter or Reddit or wherever you see him. And we'll see you next time.
Cool. Thanks for having me.